quiet Friday night in Redwood, Oregon. My friend Kyle and I decided to watch The Smiling Shadows, an old horror film being re-released at the small Redwood cinema. The theater was nearly empty, just how we liked it. Aside from us, only 4 other people were there. But one man stood out, wearing a bright yellow hoodie, sitting in the back row alone. As the previews rolled, we noticed a man constantly shifting seats. He moved from one row to another, glancing at us often. His movements were slow and calculated. The movie started. The first jump scare hit hard. Loud violin, sudden movement. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him shake his head, then stand up again. This time, he climbed the steps and sat 2 seats away from me. "Is it okay if I sit here?" he asked, smiling oddly. I hesitated, but nodded. "Thank you," he said loudly, loud enough to turn heads in a quiet theater. Kyle and I exchanged nervous looks. Something about him felt off. The movie continued. For a while, the man stayed quiet, but every time a scary scene appeared, I noticed him tensing up, rocking slightly. Then came another jump scare, a loud crash on the screen. Suddenly, he slid into the seat directly next to me. "Is it okay if I sit here?" he asked again, this time in a low voice. I hesitated, but again nodded, feeling sorry if he had some mental issue. During the next scare, I suddenly felt his hand grab my arm tightly. He buried his face into my shoulder. I yanked my arm away, whispering, "Dude, get off me." "I'm sorry, man. I'm just really scared," he muttered, eyes wide and glossy. But something about his stare felt wrong, almost empty. Kyle nudged me and whispered, "Dude, let's move." We quietly moved several rows up. The man stayed in his seat but kept staring at us, barely blinking, his head slightly tilted. For a few minutes, we tried focusing on the movie again, but his stare never stopped. The entire theater felt colder, like the tension was squeezing the air. Then we saw him stand up again. He started slowly walking toward the exit doors, but as he passed, he briefly stopped to glance up at us again. His smile returned. "We need to leave. Now," Kyle whispered, and I quickly agreed. We stood up and began walking toward the side exit. As we reached the empty hallway, we heard the door behind us click open. We turned back. His head peeked out from the theater door, eyes wide, face pale. The second he noticed we saw him, he quickly pulled his head back inside. The door shut slowly behind him. Kyle grabbed my arm tighter. "Move faster, man," he said. We hurried toward the lobby without looking back. We made it to the lobby. The young girl at the front desk, Emma, noticed our pale faces. "Everything okay?" she asked. Kyle quickly explained the man's behavior. He kept following us, touching, whispering weird stuff, Kyle said, catching his breath. Emma sighed. "You're not the first ones. He's been sneaking into theaters without tickets lately. We've had complaints." She handed us a refund voucher and apologized. Security already tried to catch him, but he always disappears before we can do anything. We left the theater quickly and walked toward Kyle's car. The parking lot was quiet except for the hum of the nearby street lamps. Just as we reached the car, we heard a faint rustle behind a large pillar. Then came a whisper. "Where you guys heading?" The man was crouched behind a pillar, his wide eyes shining under the lamp. That was enough. We jumped into the car and sped off. My heart pounded all the way home. I don't know who or what he was, but something about him felt deeply wrong. It was a stormy Thursday night in Kansas City. I had the night off and decided to watch a small indie drama playing at Silvergate Multiplex. As usual, I enjoy going to movies alone. The theater was completely empty, just me and the dim flicker of the projector. I sat in the center of the high row, propped my feet up, and relaxed as the movie started. About 20 minutes in, during a dark scene, I noticed something odd a few rows down, just the top half of a head peeking above a seat. At first, I thought it might be my imagination, but as the scene brightened, I could see it better. The head wasn't facing the screen. It was turned toward me. The skin was pale, the hair wild and wiry. I couldn't even tell if it was male or female. My chest tightened. I didn't want to confront anyone. I just sat frozen, hoping it would go away. The scene went dark again, and so did the theater. When the screen lit back up, the head was gone. I tried to focus back on the movie, but my mind kept racing. Minutes passed, and I slowly started to relax. Suddenly, another bright scene lit up the entire theater. This time, I jumped. The head reappeared, much closer, only 3 rows ahead. I let out an involuntary gasp, loudly whispering, "Oh my God!" Now I could see its face more clearly. Lifeless eyes wide open, mouth slightly hanging, but still no movement. I still couldn't tell if it was looking directly at me. That made it even worse. My body stiffened. My breathing grew shallow. I was too afraid to move. The scene darkened again. For a moment, the head disappeared from view. My heart was pounding. Then, as the next scene brightened, I nearly screamed. The head was back, this time just 1 row ahead. Its face was horrifyingly still. The skin was too pale, almost like wax. The eyes didn't move, and yet it felt like it was staring through me. I whispered to myself, "This is not normal. This is not human." My instinct screamed for me to leave. I slowly stood up, trying not to make a sound. To reach the exit, I had to pass directly next to the row where the head was. My stomach turned. Every step felt heavier. My legs trembled. I tried to avoid looking, but curiosity forced me to glance down. As I glanced down into the row, my stomach flipped. What I saw wasn't a person hunched behind the seats. It was a head, a severed human head, mounted on a thin metal rod, positioned to appear like someone peeking over the seat. My breath caught in my throat. The head was disturbingly real. Without thinking, I bolted down the aisle, racing toward the exit door. My heart was exploding in my chest. I slammed open the emergency exit and burst into the rainy parking lot, gasping for breath. My hands shook as I fumbled for my car keys. I kept looking behind, terrified someone was following. As I drove away, heart pounding, one horrifying thought crept in. Was that head real? Later that night, I searched local missing person reports. One face resembled the head I saw, a missing 17-year-old named Daniel Wilkins. I worked part-time at Lakeside Theater, a small cinema near the coast of North Carolina. Most nights were quiet, especially during weekday midnight showings. That night, we were running a late indie horror screening. Only a handful of people showed up. After the movie started, the lobby was completely empty. Around 12:30 a.m., the lobby phone rang. I walked over from a concession stand and answered. I said, "Lakeside Theater, can I help you?" But there was silence at first. Then a strange, raspy voice spoke. "What time do you close tonight?" His voice felt too close, as if he was whispering directly into phone. I replied, "We close after the midnight screening, around 2 a.m. Then he said, slowly, "I'll see you soon." Before I could respond, he hung up. I stood there frozen, feeling a chill crawl up my spine. I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was just a prank caller. I went back behind the counter, scrolling through my phone to pass the time. 10 minutes later, the phone rang again. My heart jumped this time. I hesitated but picked it up. The same voice whispered, "I'm on my way." I tried to stay calm, replying, "Sir, the movie has already started. There's no point in coming now." The caller hung up without another word. I was starting to feel genuinely uneasy now. I checked the theater room on the security monitor. All seemed normal. The lobby felt colder. Every small noise made me jump. My mind kept replaying his voice. "I'll see you soon." As the movie neared its end, I started my usual cleaning routine, vacuuming the lobby, checking the restrooms. When I entered the men's restroom, I heard one of the stalls close behind me. I called out nervously, "Hello? We're closing soon." No response. My nerves were on edge. I backed out slowly and returned to the lobby. Suddenly, I heard soft giggling echo from inside the theater room. My heart sank. It didn't sound like anyone from the audience. The movie should be nearly over. Holding my broom like a weapon, I cautiously approached the theater doors. The giggle grew faint again, as it was retreating deeper into the dark rows of seats. I couldn't bring myself to fully enter the dark theater. I quickly backed away into the lobby again, breathing heavily. The phone rang again. The timing was too perfect. My hand shook as I answered. Before I could speak, the same raspy voice whispered, "Why'd you leave the theater?" That was it. I slammed the phone down and called the police immediately. I waited outside the building in my car, scanning the dark parking lot while waiting for them to arrive. When the officers arrived, I explained everything. They checked the call log and had me identify the phone number. My heart sank when I saw the number. It was my friend Trevor's phone. The next day, Trevor told me his phone had been stolen at a bar days earlier. I realized whoever had his phone must have read our texts, learned where I worked, and decided to terrorize me. I requested to stop doing night shifts after that. I never found out who the caller was.